It's February 7th, 2022. After Chatterbox Falls, we went to Pender Harbor to anchor out for a bit and just relax. It's a pretty day with no wind. We are on our way to Powell River. We want to be on the dock. Eric needs to change the main engine oil. The engine oil could be changed at anchor, but this is still new to Eric and he'd feel more comfortable at the dock. This will also give us a chance to check out Powell River and replenish our milk and cheese supply.
Westview Harbor, this is Havaseas on 66. Westview Harbor, this is Havaseas on 66.
We're headed into the Westview Harbor, which is the first one. As we're coming into the marina, we've been given two options. We can either dock at 10 or 11.
So
okay.
If we go into 11, we're going to have the wind pushing us away from the dock.
Are we going to 10 or are we going to 11?
I'm not sure yet. We're going to take a little look here.
Okay. Look, there's even an audience. Our docking skills have much improved and we did great this time. Distin really loves the bow of the boat. She gets to see a lot. I just get a little nervous because sometimes she doesn't pay attention to where she is. We are in Powell River and we're in the Westview Marina. You can see the Havaseas over there. The building over here is the Coast Guard building, not the Marine building. And you can't walk past here on that dock. But the wonderful thing is there is this walkway along the water that's really pretty. And it's a long walkway. See ferry terminal here. And we are headed this way to look for the marina office. So now we're taking off, going up here. We're gonna try to reprovision. Somebody drank all the milk and ate all the Parmesan cheese, so we need to restock. This Marine Trader store is just up from the marina. They were extremely helpful. They have cruising guides, they've got lots of Yetis, and they helped us figure out how the Canadians fish around here. We took a little walk down what appeared to be the main part of town with tons of little shops and restaurants and things to see. There's a bookstore up here. I can't tell if it's new or used. It looks more like a used bookstore. The liquor store is just up from the marina as well. Eric's gonna go check out to see if they have beer at this one. Might save us from hauling Corona for a mile. Latin cuisine, and check out those little...
Geodistant dome.
What kind of dome?
Geodistant dome.
We've seen a bakery and now pizza and steakhouse. A bike garage. And they do rentals. Hi, Distant. Should we drop you off here? Usually you run when you smell those smells. She is smelling something around here. Rocket music. Pawnbroker. CDs. They might have DVDs. I'm learning that having DVDs on the boats is really nice when you don't have internet for days on end. Great Balls of Wool. Authentic local creations. Here. We then cut up another main road towards an area that looked like a main
Maybe
shopping
mile
area.
from the boat. There's a Staples, a Dollarama, a pet store, Tim Hortons, there's a Dairy Queen, an A&W, there's a Save On Foods, there's a big drugstore, and there's a liquor store over there. So you can walk and pretty much get what you need.
Save On Foods was a full grocery store with probably everything that you would need. The deli pre-made area had pizza, salads, food that could be just heated up or made quickly, snacks, munchies, and of course, your normal deli and all the cheeses that you find in Canada. We walked back on a different route just to check out some of the neighborhoods.
You can just see for miles. What a beautiful night. Look at that, it's so pretty. Headed home to make dinner.
Eric called me while I was fixing dinner to check out the bald eagle that was sitting in front of the boat.
So it's an oil change day. We need to change the oil in the main engine, and I'm going to change it in the generator. So I'm digging out the filters. Keep a spare set of filters. The main engine gets changed every 250 hours. The generator, I'm going to do it about 140 hours. So there's some of the filters. I'm going to change the air filter on the main engine as well. First thing I do is I read the directions just to make sure, because this is the third time I've done this. And so I'll show you what we're going to do down here. So we're going to change the oil and oil filter on the main engine. And then we're going to change 3 fuel filters. These secondary and tertiary filters and the one primary filter. And I'll switch it over to run on this filter until the next time. This I can use, if one of these filters gets clogged, I can have a second filter to use to keep the engine running. And then we're going to change the oil in the generator. This takes about 7 gallons of oil. Then we're going to change oil on and fuel filters on the generator back there. It's got 1 oil filter and 1 fuel filter, secondary fuel filter on the engine, and a primary fuel filter here on the wall that will change that filter on as well. We're going to use the reverse cycle pump, which will warm the engine up for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Turn this thing on, put it in a bucket, and suck the oil out. I'll probably put a quart of oil back into it, suck that cleaner oil out, and then pump it out as waste oil, because I'm going to use this to reinstall the 7 gallons of oil in the main engine, so it's easier to deal with. But you still get, doing that, you have a dirty hole that the old oil came out of that you're putting new oil back in. So some people don't do that, but I have. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, this is, I think I've done the generator 4 or 5 times, and this will be the 3rd time on the main engine, so it'll take me most of the day. So here we go. Before getting started, but after running the engine to warm it up, made sure to shut off the main fuel supply to the main engine so that there wouldn't be any problems with more fuel oil coming out of the system than need be.
How long is it going to take?
7 gallons worth. So the biggest trick with this is not to make a mess. Pretty easy to make a big mess if you're not careful.
What do you do with that?
So we'll go up on the beach to the waste oil disposal site. So now opening up the oil filter on the main engine to break any airlock that might be in there that would hold the oil in the filter canister and let it drain out. So here I'm adding about a quart of clean oil that I will pump out of the engine in the same manner as the old oil in an attempt to clean the oil pump hose out that we're going to turn around and use to suck oil back into the engine, try to clean out the impurities that were left in that hose from cleaning out the old oil. So in the future, I think I'm going to get something other than 5-gallon pails of oil. That way I can put the clean oil directly into the engine through the valve cover or through the dipstick hole versus using the reverse oil changer to suck oil out of 5-gallon pail. 5-gallon pail is just too difficult to try to get oil into the dipstick or up above on the valve cover. 1 or 2-gallon containers would be much easier and the oil will be much cleaner once it gets into the engine. Be very careful of that oil there, please. So remove the old O-ring on the oil filter cap and replace it with a new one, lubricating that O-ring with the new O-ring with some oil in order to make sure it seals well. run the pump one more time to get any oil that's gone down to the bottom of the engine since we started changing the oil out of the engine, and then we'll be ready to start adding oil. Here I'm getting the new oil, 5-gallon pail of oil that I'll begin to fill the engine with, open and ready to be put in the engine.
What are you doing now?
I'm going to change the primary fuel filter for the main engine.
What was the other fuel filter that you...
That was an oil filter.
Oh.
So the trick here is that these Raycor filters have a tendency to pop out of the canister and spill fuel all over the place. So you want to keep your hand on top of the top there and fingers on top of the filter so that it doesn't pop up and squirt fuel all over the place.
No. Is that supposed to happen?
Just to eliminate as much of the mess as possible. And the white and the... So here you can see the difference between a dirty filter that's had about 250 hours of operation with the new filter that's going in. Quite a difference. Like the oil filter, the fuel filter has 2 O-rings that need to be replaced with new O-rings, but before we do put them in there, we'll put fuel on them to make sure that they seal properly. So here I'm adding fuel to the canister to make up for the fuel that's come out. Get the fuel from my wing engine tank. It's fuel in that tank has been polished, so I know it's clean. I do that in order to make sure that the fuel lines don't have the least amount of air in them as possible, so that the engine fuel system doesn't have to be bled in order to get the engine to start. Down
Out of 3?
Yeah. There's 2 more right over here.
Really?
Here we're draining the fuel out of the secondary filter on the engine and also reducing the pressure of the fuel system, the pressure in the fuel system on the engine. These engines, fuel systems, pressurize the fuel significantly. If there's a leak and you get your hand or some flesh next to it, it'll drive the diesel under your skin, and you can end up with gangrene if you don't go see a doctor in a relative hurry. So trick is, if you suspect a leak, to take a piece of cardboard and hold it up to where you suspect the leak is versus putting your hand up there, otherwise you could end up hurting yourself. So we'll use the filter wrench to get the filter loose and eventually off the engine. Hopefully not too much. So here again, I'm adding fuel to this new filter in order to reduce the amount of air in the fuel system so that the engine will start and not have to be bled in order to start it. These filters come with a plastic bowl that sits on top of the filter, so that when you pour the filter in, it's going in the side of the filter that's going to filter it before it gets to the fuel pump. We ended up changing the oil filter on the engine, the primary fuel filter on the bulkhead, the secondary and tertiary fuel filter on the engine, the closed crankcase ventilation system filter, and the air filter on the engine. And it did take most of the day. Did decide to wait to change the generator oil until we made our next port of call and put another 40 or so hours on the generator and get it to about 200 hours of operation before the oil change. So here we are, all said and done, headed to the waste disposal site to get rid of the old oil and filters.
Nice rainy morning. We are headed out on a walk before we take off.
We have been on the dock for 2 days. We need to take off by 11 or 12. It was a rainy day, but we wanted to take the opportunity to take a walk, and the sea walk going in the other direction from the boat looked awesome.
After a while, the path turned into a beach walk. Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to carry Distant over this. Oh, that's creative.
We walked about 3 miles and then headed back to the boat and took off for our next adventure. If you want to see more of our adventures, please click like and subscribe.
Havaseas you next time.